Friends and traders around the world, thanks for joining me as at this Monday afternoon, the 12th of January 2015. There is so much information, so much price data to speak about in this afternoon's recording. I'm going to walk through it as quickly as I can, but as detailed as I can. Also, today across the three broad US indices, we did see a pullback to the downside, a little bit of a sell-off. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down close to 85 points during today's session. The S&P 500 was down close to 15 points, and the Nasdaq was down 35 points on the daily. Today, as we have a look at the daily candlestick on the Nasdaq, we have more or less filled this open gap going back to Wednesday and Thursday's trading session last week. So pretty much we have filled the bearish gap here. We have closed the open window. You can see that the lower wick today comes down perfectly. It hits the open as at the Wednesday or the Thursday last week. And that's a quite interesting signal on the daily. The Dow Jones Industrial Average again has left us with some form of a spinning top candlestick. When we have a look at the price action and we really see where we are in comparison to support and resistance, we're really in the middle of no man's land. You can see that we're right in between the resistance level up here around 18,000 or just shy of 18,000, and also the support level coming in at 17,140. Again, I'm very neutral on the market. Just because we saw a sell-off on the Monday doesn't mean that I'm overly bearish on the overall markets. I do need some additional confirmation in the way of price action, of course, before we can really tip our head either one direction or another. Having said that though, although all three of the US markets have really started to sort of break down on the Monday, a lot of the individual top 13 trades are also breaking to the downside. I'm going to walk through those very quickly. Apple today has really formed what we call a morning star, an evening star reversal candlestick pattern. This is a 3-day pattern shown by these three candlesticks right here. What we like to see is a long day white Morobozu candlestick, followed by a spinning top, followed by another dark Morobozu long day candlestick. Now this is pretty close to being textbook. This is a very bearish candlestick pattern for Apple short term. So having a look at this really looks as if Apple is starting to transition into some form of a descending triangle, potentially something like this. But in the meantime, there's no real trade below the low of Monday's candlestick. We do have a very defined support level on Apple coming in about $107.35. Just pay attention. The price of Apple could absolutely fall apart in Tuesday's trading session. Amazon today starting to break down below that 291.26 bearish entry from the pro analysis class. If you are in this Amazon trade, just put in a stop, put it above today's daily candlestick. That should come in just below $300 on that individual stock. We do have a target down here at $285.98. Baba today starting to break down. We spoke about the fact that this could be a bear flag over the weekend. Again, volume isn't giving us too much indication of what price wants to do, but it looks as if it's breaking out of that pattern. We had an entry here about 101.85. We're trading at 101.76, so we are technically in this trade as well to the downside. You can see our target 98.52. Pretty decent trade setup. I'll keep you up to date with that when we have more price action, but as it appears, Baba is starting to break to the downside. Baidu today, we've got a very nice bidirectional trade. No real net movement, although we were down $6.14. We're more or less stuck right in the middle of that sideways channel. Again, Caterpillar looks as if it's breaking out of some form of a bear flag again, a very similar pattern to that Baba trade. We were down about 63 cents, a little bit of a hangman candlestick or even a hammer at support. Doesn't matter which way you look at it. No trade is technically triggered on Caterpillar yet. We're still waiting for that price confirmation. FAS today, we saw continued downside action based off that engulfing pattern going back to Friday and Thursday last week. This little 2-day pattern over here. This was a really aggressive entry for intraday traders. So if you got involved at 119.18, congratulations, we're down here at 117.85. It's not really a great swing trade in the way of risk and reward, but it's definitely starting to give us some form of a chart topping pattern, potentially head and shoulders pattern, a double top. We'll soon see once we work with the additional price action. FAS looks weak, and again, the broad market is starting to give us a little bit of at least inflection points technically, which we can look at if the market wants to roll over. And as I've said, and as I'm analyzing, a lot of these individual stocks are looking quite bearish. Facebook today was down 92 cents. We're still dancing all around that primary trend line. We still do not have a clear directional break on Facebook, so I will keep you updated when we see that directional break take place. Google today is coming very close to breaking down. Let me just change to the weekly and show you what I'm looking at. Google at the moment, we've been in some form of a funky sideways channel. You can all see that we've been oscillating between support and resistance, really going sideways. We're in some form of an accumulation or in some form of a distribution. In other words, we're going through a period of sideways consolidation. Now, where we sit at the moment, we're on the precipice right here. We're on a very, very important macro pivot point. We need to decide whether the price of Google is going to break and oscillate higher. If that is the case, we're looking at targets back up here, about $615, going back to early 2014. Or if in fact we start breaking down all around the triggers which we have set up to the downside, we're soon going to see the price of Google come down and revisit about $425. At the moment, if I go back to the daily, so I just moved off from the weekly, you can see we're dancing right around this first entry around 492.68. Yes, that did trigger today. We were down $3.43. At the moment, we do have some form of a candlestick at support. So if you are in this trade, put your stop above Friday's candlestick last week, but expect something big from Google over the coming days. Put it that way. Expect something big from Google over the coming days. If this market really pulls back and retraces, watch the price of Google fall out. GoPro today, again, breaking down below both of our entry triggers. 62.04 was our first entry going back 3 days ago. Here we are at $56.85. This is a $6 move already. In the price of GoPro, we had an aggressive entry at $58.62 to the downside. We're on our way down to our first target at $54.25. Congratulations, traders, on placing that individual trade. Halliburton also, I mean, we've been speaking about this Bollinger Band squeeze for so long. It's so defined, it's so ready to move. It looked as if we were getting very close to the bullish breakout as we came into the trading week. We had a bullish entry at 41.26. That has not triggered. We saw a gap down and a spinning top on Monday's trading session. And still, we're still in the middle. We haven't made that decisive break yet. It is coming, but pay attention to earnings. Earnings is just around the corner also. Now, when we analyze Google, it's very similar to that type of trade setup on Netflix. Netflix is here. We've had some great trades on Netflix. Last week, we had one below this one candlestick over here. That was a fantastic 2-day trade. At the moment, it looks as if Netflix is breaking to the downside. 317.71 is the bearish entry from Pro. We're here at about 319.08. Few people emailing in saying, look, I'm in this trade. What do I do? Where do I place my stop? And the answer to that question is either above today's candlestick on Monday, or if you can handle the risk depending on how big of a position, you got in relative to your overall account size, you can put it above Friday's candlestick, right? That's where I personally like it, but I understand and I guess I need to know more about the situation, whether you're trading, options or stock when it comes to the individual analysis of Netflix. Pay attention though, it is a good trade. It looks very weak. We've seen, again, a pretty decent sell-off, down $10.23 in today's trading session. We're seeing rejection at the 10 and the 20 exponential moving average. The oscillators are very, very neutral at the moment, but it looks as if we're starting to break into that lower Bollinger Band. I still have a target down here at 302.60 on the price of Netflix. Pay attention to that individual stock. Tesla today hit our target at 202. This was an incredible trade. We had two entries going back to roughly 218. Our second entry was 212.57. As you can see, it took about 5 days to hit our target here at $202.41. That was hit today. So as at Monday, the 12th of January 2015, we are out of Tesla for another incredible, profitable trade. So congratulations, traders around the world, for placing that Tesla trade. We've really started 2015 on the right note. Twitter today saw a little bit of a bearish counterattack. We gapped up marginally. We tried to trade up, but as you can see, with the markets pulling back and retracing, the price of Twitter pretty much did the same. We were down close to 60 cents. We have closed just above our original bullish entry at 39.52, so it is still marginally profitable. But given what the markets have done today, and that's going back and really looking at the three types of candles which have formed on the daily, also the gap fill on the NASDAQ, you can see a lot of these tech stocks setting up evening star reversal candlestick patterns. I mean, a lot appear to be breaking to the downside in the way of breaking out of bear flags. It wouldn't surprise me to see the price of Twitter at least pull back short term, with a little bit of market noise taking place before it stabilizes and continues its trajectory to the upside with our first target at 41.85. So please pay attention to that Twitter trade. If you are in this trade, this was a late trade from last week. I'd say 95% of our trades last week broke to the downside. Twitter was the only exception which broke to the upside on Friday's trading session. So if you are in Twitter, just place your stop potentially below Friday's candlestick. It'll come in just above $38. Limit your risk. Say that you've got $1.50 of risk on this Twitter trade to the upside. We'll just see what happens. See how the markets move on Tuesday. But for the most part, they're looking a little bit fragile given where we're trading at the moment. And if this is going to be a new high or a new swing high, it's going to be a new lower high on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It's going to be a new lower high on the S&P 500. But when we have a look at the Nasdaq, it's more or less going to be again a lower high. So it's pretty interesting when we start to analyze types of terminal reversal patterns on overall markets when they start to present themselves. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself right now, but you can start to see these things materializing on the horizon. I'm just bringing them to your attention as at the current juncture. So thank you so much, traders around the world. Have an incredible Monday evening. I'll see you all as at Tuesday afternoon for another market recap. All the best. Goodbye.